All right, everybody, we're going to do our oil pastel practice sheet. This is something we're going to have everyone do before we start our final project. Let's throw our names at the top here. And what I'd like you to do, if you haven't already, is get some oil pastels, get a good variety of colors here. Doesn't matter, you don't have to use the exact ones as me, you just have to do the same techniques as me. It doesn't matter what brand. There are a couple different brands of oil pastels over there. You can get whichever brand that you want. There's Craypa brand, there's Portfolio brand. They all work great. So you're going to need just kind of a variety of oil pastels. You're also going to need some of these, one or two of these blenders. Q-tips work just fine also. You're going to need that. And then another thing that we like to use when we're doing oil pastels are cotton balls. So we're going to put those off to the side here. I'm going to put my oil pastels off to the side and we're going to start. So what I want everyone to do to begin with, in their first box here, you can see it says color heavy. So that's what we're going to do. I got to check one thing here. Okay, good. All right, so we're going to cover color heavy in our first box. So take whatever color you want. I'm going to do green. And what I mean by color heavy is I want you to put down heavier pressure with your hand. You have to press too hard. And if your oil pastel breaks, that's okay. It may happen during the time that you're doing this too. What I want you to do is try to eliminate having any white spaces. I want you to put it down with consistent color. I don't want it to be too dark in one spot, too light. We're just looking for a flat, consistent color throughout the whole thing, not too many white spots, okay? So nice heavy color right there. Now the next one is going to be one color light. So pick anything that you want. I'm going to pick red here and see if I can achieve something closer to a pink. I'm going to color really lightly, really light pressure. And you can have lots of white showing through. It doesn't matter. You can go diagonally. You can go diagonally this way. It doesn't matter which way you go. You can go back and forth. You can go up and down. Color really light, really, really light. Okay, what you're going to notice here is some white of the paper is going to show through, and that's absolutely fine. We kind of have the illusion of pink a little bit there, even though our oil pastel is red. Our next one is going to be another color heavy, so pick a different color again and color in this box. Try not to have too many white spots. Try to fill it in best you can. If you go outside the lines a little bit, that's okay. Try to fill in the box. We're going to come back to these boxes later, and we're going to put in some other things over top. Grab another color, and you can pause this movie at any time if you need to. We can always pause and come back to it. So if I'm going too fast, just pause. You can rewind, go back, whatever you need to do with this video. So I'm using a different brand now. I'm using Craypa brand, which I really like. They are really smooth. The color's really bold. This is actually the brand that we have here in Geneseo for you to use. So there's that. So now we have heavy, light, heavy, heavy, and we're going to come back to this in a little bit too. So the next one says 3/4 color blend to 3/4 color. I'll show you what that means. So we're going to start with take a primary color. So what I want you to pick is I want you to pick a red, yellow, or a blue. It doesn't matter which. We're going to create a secondary color. So I'm going to start with red here in this box, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3/4 color. So I'm going to start by pressing hard, and by 3/4 I mean 3/4 of this bar. So we're not going to go all the way to the end, and I'm going to lighten it up a little bit at the end here. So there we have 3/4 of it, and I can fade out a little bit at the end, and then we're going to do 3/4 starting here and then ending at about here. Okay, so now I'm going to start with my yellow, and I'm going to go right over top of that red. That's okay. We're going to clean it off a little bit later. We're going to go right over the red about 75% of the way through. I'm going to go back over it again. And what you can see starts happening now is by going over top, it starts to create orange. Now, at any point, I didn't use orange. It just creates orange naturally because oil pastels blend really, really well. You'll also notice that now on the edge of the oil pastel, we have a little bit of red. So cleaning that off, what you'll want to do, you can do this on scrap paper when you're doing your final, is what you're going to do is take it and twist it around and try to focus on those areas that had a little bit of the red on it. And now if we look at the tip of the oil pastel, it's much better, much cleaner. And now if we're using yellow, we're not going to get those little bits of red in it like we would have before. So you can always clean those off if you need to. All right, the next one is going to be a 3/4 color again. You can pick any color for this one. Doesn't matter. It can be a primary or a secondary color. Your secondary colors are going to be green, orange, and purple, or primary colors are going to be red, yellow, and blue. That's something we went over forever ago and probably with Mr. Wedge. So we're going to go about 3/4 of the way through with our green. I'm starting off pressing a little heavier and then I'm getting lighter further I go into it. And then I want you to get a white oil pastel for the other side. This one's a little dirty, but I don't think it's going to make much of a difference here, just because this is practice. So we're going to start off with white, and you won't be able to see much, but what will end up happening here is it's really going to lighten it. And it's going to make it more of kind of like a mint color, and it'll lighten up everything that we have. So even though I went lighter pressure, you're going to see by adding the white, it's really going to create that nice highlight and that nice blend throughout the whole thing. Just a little piece you can pick off with your own hand. So we have a nice blend to white right here. Okay. Next one we're going to do is we're going to do a sphere, and we can pick any color for this one that we want to use. I'm going to pick this maroon color right here, and I'm going to color in the inside with maroon. Like so. Try to get as much color as you can. If you get it outside the edge a little bit, no big deal. This is just practice. This is just warm up. I'm going fast, so getting a little bit on the outside here. We're going to come back to this too. Next one is going to be our Van Gogh strokes. I'd like you to use two very different colors. So even though they're both green, one is really light and one is really dark. Don't pick two things that are really close together. Pick ones that are like a lighter color and a darker color, or two colors that are opposite like this, like a red or a blue. I mean, they're not literally opposite on the color wheel. Opposite this would be green, but they're just not really close together color wise. So we're going to fill in this whole area with a light green here like this. Fill this all in like that. And then what I want you to learn here in this box is I want you to take your other color, and we're going to do Van Gogh strokes. I'll show you what that is. Look, this Van Gogh does these short choppy brush strokes. If you look at Starry Night, some of you may have chose Van Gogh for your project. We're going to do this over top, diagonal. So what I want you to do is try to go the same direction. Later on in your artwork, you can always change direction with these. But what I want you to see is that by pressing down nice and hard over top, it's not going to immediately blend. You're going to be able to draw over other colors. And the important thing here for your project that we're going to talk about a lot is layering. We're going to layer one color and then put another layer over top of it. Okay, another layer goes over top. Next one we're going to do. Okay, this is called Scrafito. This is another one of my favorites here. We're going to start with red, but you can do whatever color you want over top. I think the red works really well. You'll see why in a minute. And I want you to color in this box as solid with color as you can. And you'll see why in a minute. Color in this box like this. And I'm going to take like a lighter blue, some different type color, and we're going to go over top and do a circle in the middle here. Try to get a lot of it on here to try to change the color to get it to be purple, little highlights of light blue over top, mix, mix, mix. Okay, and once you get a good thick coat of oil pastel over top, what I'd like you to do is take one of these, okay, one of these Q-tips, and what I want you to do is use the back end. Don't use the soft end. We're going to use the wooden end, and we're going to do a technique called Scrafito. And Scrafito sounds like scratch. It's actually an Italian term. And what it means is it reveals color underneath. So if I go through and I start to do some zigzags or some spirals, you can see what it starts to do here is it reveals that red color underneath. Okay, so Scrafito, scratch, that's what that is. It'll reveal the color underneath. All right, now we're going to be able to use this end of the blender here in a second. What I want to do is go back to my sphere that I did here, take a little bit of white, and in the upper corner, what we're going to do is do kind of a circle in this upper corner to add a highlight like this, and then grab a blue or or a black or something darker. So I'm going to do a little bit of black and a little bit of blue. Just pure black is not really a good idea for a shadow. You want to mix in a couple of cooler colors for a shadow here. Okay, so now we've placed that on top, and we're trying to make it look three-dimensional here. So what I'm going to do now is take the soft end of my Q-tip, and what I'm going to do is start to move that color around and blend it and soften it a little bit and try to work all those colors together, mix, blend, try to go around in a curve. You don't want to go straight across. I'm going to try to curve it around the best I can. And now it's going to start to look a little bit more three-dimensional. And then I'm going to add a little shadow in here too, maybe with that dark maroon color again, and then a blue over top to get a little darker, maybe a pinch of black, not a lot. You don't want to overdo the black too much. Grab another Q-tip. If your other one is dirty or kind of falling apart a little bit for the shadow. And then you can always go back in, and if your highlight kind of went away a little bit, you can go back in a couple more times, bring that highlight back with your oil pastel. So sometimes if you accidentally blend something off, you can bring it back again. And now that starts to look a little bit more three-dimensional. Not completely, but I also did that in just a couple minutes, so it's not going to be perfect there. Another thing that you can do is take a cotton ball, and you can go over top, and what the cotton ball is going to do is it's going to take off kind of the top layer of oil pastel from that really heavy oil pastel layer. What this is going to do is kind of make it a little thinner, a little bit more see-through and softer. So that's kind of what the cotton ball does, is it softens everything a little bit. So you can kind of see the difference. If you look at the edge here, I didn't do a lot of the cotton ball. You can see how it's darker. And in the middle here, we have a little bit lighter. And if we were to go over this lighter one here that we had at the beginning, look how light that was. If we go over it with the cotton ball, look how we get a nice pink color now. Okay, and if we were to take another cotton ball and go over one of these colors, let's look at, I'll just do half of this one so you can see before and after what the cotton ball is going to do for you. It doesn't erase it, but you can see it really lightens it up, and it takes that thick amount of oil pastel off the surface and gives you that nice lighter amount there. Okay, and then in these last couple here that we did, just try with drawing some other colors over top and seeing what that does. So you can do some diagonal lines here. We can go over with the peach with another orange. And you can see it's not doing much because the colors are so similar. You're gonna have to pick something that's drastically different in order to really get that change. So if I go back over again, lightly with a little bit of red, it's almost like I'm sketching over top with red. And then I can take another cotton ball like this, and kind of work it in a circle. It's gonna blend those colors together, and I'll get a nice soft red, orange, kind of it's almost like a peach. If you were to get like something, a candy that was peach flavored, it would look kind of like that. Okay, so there's just a couple different techniques that you can do with oil pastels. This will get you ready for starting your final project. I'd like everyone to participate in this before we move on. You don't have to upload this to Google Classroom, but I want everyone to be able to do this just so they have kind of a background on how oil pastels work. All right.